Hi everyone, it's Ricky, Lee, and Alex with the North Pacific Homes Group, and for this week's video, we are going to be answering 10 frequently asked questions about buying or selling real estate in Victoria, BC. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel as it really helps us out. And if you have any questions that we didn't answer in this video, please never hesitate to reach out or drop a comment below and we will address them in a future video.
So one of the most common questions that we get asked is what's going on in today's market? And of course, these numbers are going to look different through the lens of either a buyer or a seller. So as we said in multiple different videos, there is a significant amount of interest rate increases last year. And of course, coming off of COVID, and then all of a sudden these increases really put a strain on buyers, and we had this massive amount of buyer fatigue. Now, starting around May and June of 2022, we saw a pretty significant decrease in the demand that was coming through. And so, of course, this drove down not only the property sold, but the benchmark prices. Now, dropped it around 11%. Now, this was a mix of multiple different things. So, of course, interest rate increases going up, but also coming off of the COVID, where it was such a heavy seller's market, buyers just got burnt out and they effectively said, we're done for now. So things slowed down, crept into 2023, and when the Bank of Canada announced that they were actually holding an increase for the first time that year, and the market had slowed down and there was more inventory, buyers started to show up again because they could negotiate on their price, they could get their offers accepted with due diligence period, inspection, financing, and so that confidence came back to the market. And this actually drove up prices. Although not nearly as significant as what we saw at COVID, the market has been increasing since about January. Now, the two biggest factors, of course, this summer have been the two increases that have come in. So one of the biggest questions that we get asked is there going to be a housing market crash? I can never say never, but personally I feel that it is quite unlikely. With these interest rate increases, this is the most aggressive rate hike that we've seen in the last 22 years, and we only dropped by about 11%, which yes, does sound quite significant. However, other markets were getting hit significantly harder than Victoria. So I don't think we're going to see necessarily a housing market crash. I think we're going to see an adjustment maybe the market stays stagnant for a while, but I don't think we're going to see anything like we've seen in the historical data. And like I mentioned, even with that historical data, we did see that 42% drop in 1980s, but the market recovers, and the market recovers quickly and significantly. The other question that we get is, will real estate become more affordable? Now, if you've been living in the Lower Mainland and you're living on the Vancouver Island, this is a question that you've grown up with, but it depends on where you're coming from. You know, Ricky's parents came from Winnipeg, which of course is a significantly more affordable city. It's tough to say that it's going to be more affordable. I think what we're going to see is a change on how the cities start to becoming built. I think there's going to be a stronger focus on what we refer to as missing middle, and the city of Victoria in particular has really pushed forward the missing middle initiative, which we'll link below, which allows developers to come in and put higher density onto single family lots to try to get more properties available to the public. And I think that's where the focus is going to go towards. On top of that, we're starting to see more creative funding ways to help get buyers into the market, whether that is, Langford's ability to help match the down payment, or Kettle Creek has come up with a fantastic idea called the deposit own, and we will link these down below, where you're putting $10,000 in, and for 12 months you're actually paying them your down payment until you get to that down payment amount, and that's when your mortgage payment starts. So very creative ways on how we can make things more affordable without significantly decreasing the prices.
Yeah, I think those were two really great questions to start off with. Jumping into questions that we get from sellers who are looking to sell their home and move into something else, whether they're looking for more space, to downsize, or just a different area. The biggest question that they have is, should they sell their property before they buy, or should they buy before they sell? And it's an important question because nobody wants to be left without a place to live. And it is going to depend on your circumstances. But something to keep in mind is typically you are going to have more negotiating power as a seller. And what I mean by this is that if you have your home on the market, it is more likely that you will accept a very strong offer, with the subject for you being that that sale will not complete until you have completed on the home that you're going to move into. Most buyers who have found your property and want to buy it will accept waiting for you to purchase your new home. Whereas if you're a buyer, it can be more challenging to get an offer accepted, having that subject that you will not buy their property until you've sold their home. And this just plays into the fact that Victoria's market is very strong. So even when we are in a more stable market, there's still a lot of buyers who are looking for places. And if a seller can get their home sold faster, they're going to go with an offer that doesn't have that subject to sale. So this is something that we can talk about in more detail if you are worried about it. Either way that you go, it definitely helps if you have the process of getting your home listed started and almost all the way completed, so that when you are making decisions, you can explain that we have the media done and any repairs that you're thinking of doing are completed, so that if someone is debating accepting your offer with a subject to sale, they know that the home is going to be up quickly and they can trust that it's going to be an efficient sale.
Yeah, absolutely. Another very common question we get are what are the fees of using a real estate agent? Now the fees come out of the purchase price of the property, or you can think of the seller paying for the realtor fees. Now what we also do is when we do go for a buyer consultation or a listing presentation with you, we will bring a net sheet to show what that breakdown is going to be, because although you're not paying realtor fees on the buying side, please keep in mind, we do have the property transfer tax and there are additional fees outside of using a realtor that you need to account for.
Absolutely. And that leads us into another very common question, which is about first-time homebuyers incentives in BC. And so the most commonly used one is the first-time homebuyers program that helps buyers save for the down payment for their first home. And with this, you can put contributions into your registered retirement savings plan up to $35,000 per individual. And then when you are looking to buy your first home, you can take that money out of the RRSP account tax-free towards the down payment of your first home. So this is $35,000 per individual or $70,000 as a couple, granted that you're both first-time home buyers. And the only time restriction on this is that the money needs to be in your account for 60 days before you can pull it tax-free. So recently there was also another account added to this, which is called the First Time Home Savers account. And this can be used in conjunction with the RSP savings up to $40,000 per individual, which is great, but there is a limit on how much you can contribute per year, and it's $8,000 per year from opening the account. If you're not able to make that full $8,000 in 1 year, you can carry it over to the next. But either way, if you're looking to make that full $40,000 contribution to pull tax-free, it's going to take you 5 years to get there. So for many people, using the registered retirement savings plan account might be more effective if they're looking to buy something faster. But this is a great thing to talk to your bank about if you are saving for the down payment on your first home. Otherwise, unfortunately, the first-time homebuyers program falls a bit short when we think about Victoria specifically because of the cost of real estate here. The other part of that program is an exemption on property transfer tax, which can be quite costly and would certainly save buyers money if they were able to get that exemption. However, only homes up to $500,000 qualify for the exemption, and there is a partial exemption, but it only goes up to $525,000. So this isn't super helpful when considering real estate prices here. We do have some pilot programs that have been taking place, such as the Langford Attainable Home Ownership Program, which Alex mentioned earlier. And we did do a blog post on that, so I'll link it down below because it goes through this in more detail, but this is helping buyers. It's actually not geared towards first-time home buyers, although it certainly helps them. It's geared towards affordability for residents who are looking to purchase in Langford. And this does help with matching what you have saved for the down payment when you are purchasing condos in new developments. I haven't heard of a lot of people taking advantage of this just yet, but I think it's really great that we have innovation in this area because affordability for residents is such a huge challenge here, and it would be great to see more incentives coming out to help people get into their first property or new property for their family. As I said, this one isn't geared towards first-time home buyers, although it certainly helps in that area.
Yeah. Another common question is, are foreign buyers driving up the prices in Victoria? The short answer is no. The most recent stat I can give you is about a year ago because of course the federal government came out with the foreign buyers ban, but here in Victoria, foreign buyers made up for 1.56% of sales, which is quite insignificant when you're looking at the grand scheme of things. That being said, we live in Victoria, a very desirable area, and we are starting to see more people coming from outside of Victoria than we've ever seen before. So as of last year, we had 75% of sales done from Vancouver Island, which is the lowest it's been in a while. We are starting to see more people come from other major metropolis areas, such as the Lower Mainland, Toronto, Ottawa, and they are starting to come out west.
So we have touched on it already, but another question, do I need to pay property transfer tax? Property transfer tax is separate from your annual property taxes, and it is a tax specific to BC. It's a significant amount to budget for when you are buying a home. The amount that you will owe is 1% of the purchase price up to $200,000, 2% from $200,000 to $2 million, and 3% on the amount greater than $2 million. Anything above $3 million is a further 2%. So to give you an example, property transfer tax on a $1.3 million home would be $24,000. Thing to note about this tax is that it cannot be worked into the mortgage, and it is due when the property title is transferred into your name. So you need to have that money allocated separately from your down payment. And unfortunately, there are very few exemptions that are applicable to home prices in Victoria. So as I mentioned with the first-time home buyers program, this exemption is only for properties that are $500,000 or lower, with partial exemptions at $525,000 or lower. There is also an exemption for purchasing a new build. However, again, that only goes up to properties that are $750,000 or less, with a partial exemption for properties that are $800,000 or less. So not super applicable when we look at home prices in Victoria. As of January 1st, 2024, there will also be an exemption on that additional 2% on properties that are over $3 million if they are a purpose-built rental building, and this is of course to help with the rental market. Otherwise, there are some exemptions for property transfer between families, whether that's for loss of life or divorce, but most people who are buying property in BC will be paying property transfer tax. So it's on our net sheet for you to consider, and it's definitely something that you don't want to be surprised by.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And an additional cost when you are making offers is getting an inspection, and are inspections worth it? Without question, yes, they are. To get a certified inspector through the door to have a look at the property is extremely important to us. Now, that's not to say that we're trying to find something that the seller is hiding, but we want to make sure we have a full understanding of what we're walking into, right? What does the roof look like? How is the foundation? When was the last time the perimeter drains have been looked at? Making sure we have an understanding of what any costs are going to be when you move in. Now, if they're significant enough, we might have to go back and look and see if it's worth purchasing this property or going to the seller and asking for a price reduction.
And question number 9, how should I get my home ready to sell? This is another one that is going to be super specific to your property, your area, and the market. So during our listing presentation, this is something that we will go over with you. Recommendations that we have made in some of our past videos is to focus on things like curb appeal, so that can be fresh flowers in the garden outside, making sure that the lawn is nice and trimmed. And if you have any colors in the home that could be easily painted a more neutral color, then that is really going to help with the first appeal to a wide range of buyers. You would be shocked how many people can be really off-put by a brightly colored wall. Even though it seems like it would be a simple thing to fix, it can really change someone's first impression of your home and whether they decide to make an offer. Other things that we will go over is the way that we present your home on the market. We invest in professional video and photo, as well as 3D virtual tours, and all of these things go a long way in putting your best foot forward when we get your property on the market. So if you have any questions about this, we are happy to have a discussion, and we do provide home valuations at no cost to you, and you can book those in a calendar on our website that will link below.
Yeah. And the final question is, how long does it take to sell a house in Victoria? And unfortunately, there's no one answer to this. There's multiple factors that might include in this. Now, is it a condo? Is it a townhome? Is it a single family detached home? What is our pricing strategy, right? There's 3 general pricing strategies that we would look at. Either we list high with the thought of negotiating down, we list at market, or if we want to create a multiple offer strategy and a bidding more, we list significantly lower and get your home sold fast. So all depending on what strategy we take, what type of property, how unique is it, what's the niche buyer market, all of these are going to take into effect on how long it takes to sell your home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is something that is a bigger discussion point following the COVID market, because we did have that intensely competitive market where homes were just flying off as soon as they got listed, and then the delayed offer strategy was employed often in order to get more people through the door. But in markets that are a bit more stable, that's not as necessary, and that's something that we again will have a discussion during all of our listing presentations. We hope that you enjoyed this video and you found it informative with a good mix of questions for whatever stage that you're at in the home buying or selling process. If you like videos like this, please let us know. This is our first one that we've done in this style, but we are trying to get videos out every week on Wednesday. And if you have anything that you'd like to hear from us, just let us know below. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.